Hey everybody, it's Taki117 here, back with Taki Space Program. And here we have, sitting on our launch pad, our Skylab space station. Now you remember the last time we tried this, we loaded it with our two pilots, launched it, and had a little bit of a staging mishap, resulting in the loss of those two pilots. Not so this time around. This time it is completely unmanned, so if something goes wrong, which it probably will, all we have to worry about is the equipment. So here we go. Launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. So the very first orbital space station was Salyut 1. It was launched by the Russians, and it was the first space station designed for long-term habitation. America's answer to that, of course, was Skylab. A little bit of a funny story there. Astronauts in space work hard. They do science experiments, they do physical training, a whole bunch of stuff. Well, during the early days of living in space on space stations, NASA actually forgot to put in some downtime for the astronauts. They had full days of doing science experiments and doing all this stuff, and they went to sleep and they didn't have any real downtime. So one day, the Skylab astronauts simply turned the radio off. That's what they did. They turned the radio off, they took a day to themselves, and more or less had immunity. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, we're losing this rocket. And there it goes. Well, that... crap. That did not go as planned at all. Thanks to aerodynamic forces, this thing is just going to tumble. It is tumbling hard. Alright, let's see if we can... Alright, good news, I've stopped the tumble. Bad news, I'm still falling. Alright, let's bring up the surface info. Let's see if we can save it. No, probably not. Well, at least I didn't lose anybody this time. Like I said, this was simply a loss of equipment. A very expensive loss of equipment, but a loss of equipment nonetheless. So, basically what happened there was I got too far off of prograde one direction, tried to suddenly correct in the opposite direction to get back on prograde, and which caused aerodynamic forces to kind of take over and just flip the rocket back over on its back and break up due to aerodynamic forces. So, I do want to add an alarm for planetary transfer between Earth and Mars, which is in 105 days. I have Mercury coming up in 21 days. Uranus in 36 days. So I have a little bit of time to get a satellite out to Mars. I think that's going to be one of my next missions. A little miffed at myself because I went far too aggressively with that rocket, but that's okay. I'm sure I will make it up eventually. I am determined to get Skylab into orbit. And I think part of the problem is it's a rather large space station on top of a fairly small rocket. As you can see, the payload is very large and the rocket is not. The main reason for that is because the payload is very light. There's not a whole lot of mass to it, and that causes a bit of a problem. See, contrary to most things, with rockets you actually want most of your mass concentrated up near the top so that you have an inverted pendulum. Now, inverted pendulums are inherently unstable. Fortunately, rockets can gimbal their engines, meaning that you need small adjustments on the opposite end to make very large adjustments on the payload end. So it's a little counterintuitive, but being an inverted pendulum actually makes a rocket more stable. See, I don't have any tech I can unlock. I will finish building my crew transfer vehicle. It's kind of a take on the Soyuz spacecraft. The main crew part is based on Soyuz. The rocket is actually based on the Delta rocket family, so it's kind of a mix between the two. Let's do some. Ooh. Oh wow, I have 235 science to spend. I'm about to get a lot more. This is going to complete there. So I have 260 science now. Alright, so while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and unlock the last node of my 160 tier system. Let's see, this gets me an arrow spike. Looks like some bigger boosters. High altitude flight gets me, looks like cargo bays and various adapters and parts for space planes and aircraft. Large volume containers gets me bigger, even bigger fuel tanks than I already have. Heavy aerodynamics gets me the big, adapters and fairings. Actuators is when you start getting into cargo bays. Ooh. That's cool. A harpoon. Some winch of some sort. So I got some really cool things coming up. Specialized control. Gets me some cool looks like monopropellant engines and stuff like that. This gets me some more landing gear. This is what I really want. This will get me some rather long range antennas. I think got one that's going to 40 gigameters. Wow. As well as science labs. Those are nice. Some sort of docking light. Yeah, battery packs, ladders, and then high power electronics gets me these radioisotope thermoelectric generators, which will provide these will provide power even when there's no sunlight, which is nice for long-range missions. Long-range antennas, you got some more solar panels and some... all the solar panels. That's cool. We also get some photo trusses. I was hoping for radiators, but I guess I don't get that. And we get a cool new telescope array. So we have some awesome parts coming up here next tier. So I'm going to go ahead and roll out the Skylab. I feel really bad that I didn't get that to orbit. Oh well. Like I said, it was only a loss of equipment. This one is also only going to be a loss of equipment. Oh yay. I have successfully completed that contract. All I was waiting for on that one was the time to expire. You know, that particular satellite had to stay in orbit a certain period of time to complete that contract. So we're making sure everyone is out of our rocket before we launch it, so that again it is only a loss of equipment. And I think that's really the main goal here, is to minimize the loss of Kerbal life. So we're going to try to launch this rocket one more time, and if it doesn't work this time, I'm just going to do a major station redesign, because I think ideally these station contracts are supposed to be done over a period of several launches, and here I am trying to do it in one. So here we go, launching in 3, 2, 1, ignition and liftoff. I have my surface info up. I need my orbit info. There we go. So far so good. Doing good. Meters a second, currently 6 kilometers downrange, traveling at 1/4 the speed of sound. And begin our pitch maneuver here. I'm going to be a little bit less aggressive on my gravity turn. Just a little bit. That's... there we go. Okay, we are past the point where our previous rocket exploded, which is good. So I'm currently letting my autopilot do most of the flying here. Alright, here we go. Beautiful plume right over the Florida coast. Currently traveling just over Mach 2. We are 11 kilometers downrange. 15 kilometers downrange. Stand by. All systems normal. Point orbit prograde. And I'm going to take this up to 150 kilometers, I think. Alright, stand by for stage 1 separation. Stage 1 separation, good. Stage 2 ignition in 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to take this up to 150 kilometers. I'm going to leave the fairing attached until I get to my target apoapsis, instead of normally when I would deploy it when I reach the edge of the atmosphere. The main reason for that is I don't want pieces flying everywhere as I'm, blasting through them. 6, 47, 48, 49. There we go, 150 kilometers. I'm going to go ahead and plan my circularization burn. It is 526 meters per second, which I have plenty of in my space station engine. So stand by for fairing deployment. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, let's get these solar panels out here. Solar panels are out. We are going to roll to 90 degrees so that they can all get some rays there. So the station went through a little bit of a minor redesign. I added this cone here and a smaller docking port so that it would fit on my so that my crew capsule would be able to dock with it. I also moved these, or I added these radial reaction wheels there. Alright, here we go. And there we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and activate my two antenna there. Plenty of food, tons of oxygen, tons of electric charge. There we go. Skylab is now in orbit. At about 150 kilometers. So, let's go ahead and... Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Mainly because next episode I want to cover the launch and rendezvous of my Soyuz crew transfer vehicle. And that's an episode in and of itself. There's no way I could do it in the 10 or so minutes that I have left, so I'm just going to cut it here. Watch this beautiful, beautiful space station coming up on the coast of Africa there. I'm Taki 117, and remember, it's only rocket science.